Well, I hope everybody had a safe night. We did. We had our son here. He had a teenage deal with his friends on a Halloween night, so it was fun and relaxing, and he enjoyed himself, so that's a good thing. Fun, safe environment. That's what we wanted for our son, so we gave it to him and had his friends over, which was a nice evening. Okay, today I'm going to read a chapter on human nature. Already done quite a bit on the adversary and evil and sin and what God is using it for. So this chapter is called Human Nature, and I'll read some of it today and some of it tomorrow. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here, folks. I just get up and I'm having a glass of milk. I'm not having a coffee because I gotta go lay down again. I have to work again tonight, which is a good thing. Okay, human nature. In God's word, human nature is good. In evangelical theology, it is bad. Very, very bad. This is one of those terms which even greatly enlightened teachers of the Bible have altered utterly from its scriptural significance so that natural has become a synonym for sinful. Isn't that something? Subtly and subconsciously, this seriously affects their expositions of the Bible and has a very strong tendency to turn the path of the saints into the direction of asceticism. And now you want to call it, it is willful asceticism. Do not touch this. Do not taste that. There's a new study that came out. Oh, do not eat it. Do not eat bacon. It's bad for you. The extreme result is some of the most earnest souls is an unnatural life. Not a natural one, an unnatural one, rather than a supernatural one. They fear every instinctive impulse and every inherent emotion as from a sinful source. This is what church will do to you. Go to church. Well, I don't know what churches are like today. I haven't been in a church in so long that I don't even know what they're like. I don't even watch those stupid programs on TV, the Joel Osteen or whatever the fuck that is. I don't watch any of that garbage. It's a bunch of crap. It's a religious bunch of crap. Not allowed to smoke a cigarette or a cigar. Oh. Don't touch it, don't eat it, don't taste it, don't smell it, don't even look at it. The effect is an artificial existence. And this is what most in Christendom have, an artificial existence. Constrained and religious, lacking some of the spontaneous and exultant joy or the unleashed liberty which is ours in his beloved. We are free in Christ, and freedom in Christ does not mean that you have to be scared to do anything. But some will say, then you do not believe that there is nothing good in man. You think there is something in him which does not need salvation. But such speeches, which are based on evangelical phrases rather than on the scriptures, much truth can be condemned. For instance, let us use the same argument concerning the human conscience. Is conscience good or is it bad? Men are convinced by their conscience. John chapter 8 verse 9. If the conscience were sinful, it certainly would not do this. Paul appeals to his conscience. Romans chapter 2 verse 15 and chapter 9 verse 1. Of what value is this if it is altogether bad? We are to hold faith and a good conscience. 1 Timothy chapter 1 verse 19. To be sure, there can be a defiled conscience and an evil conscience. But these condemn a man and are indisputable evidence that his conscience is not on the side of sin. The inference from the theological theory of total depravity that everything that pertains to man is radically wrong is not true as to conscience. Neither is it true as to his nature. These are both against sin. In sinning, conscience is suppressed. That which is unnatural is sinful. The proper way to discover the place which human nature plays in our lives is not to reason it from the evangelical creeds, but to ponder its usage in the scriptures. As usual, we are led astray by our accepted versions. Nature is used also of generating or lineage. Genesis, the same thing. Generations, lineage. James chapter 3, verse 6. Naturally is also a mistranslation of genuinely. Gnesis. Philippians chapter 2, verse 20. Natural is the rendering of the three words Genesis, generating or inherited. James chapter 1, verse 23. Sorry about that. There's a lot of words here. I'm going to spell them out if I can't pronounce them. And Psuchikos, soulish. Besides, the correct term, Phusikos, natural. Romans chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 12. It is the alteration of soulish into natural, which has caused most of the misapprehensions as to human nature. Hence, it will be worthwhile to examine its occurrences quite closely. If the reader will correct the references already given and the following in his Bible, it will help to clear up the confusion the Authorized Version has created. So it's going to go into a little bit of soulish, the word soulish here too. Yes, and in the Greek it's Psuchikos, or Psuchikos, soulish, in the Authorized Version. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolish to him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. And 1 Corinthians 15:44, it is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul, and the last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit, that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. James 3:15, the wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. That's in the Authorized Version. Jude chapter 19, these they were separate themselves, sensual, not having the Spirit. In the first two passages, the reader beholds four of the particularly unfortunate mistranslations in the Authorized Version. It is difficult to conceive of the confusion they have created, and still cause among humble and hungry hearts desirous of pleasing God. They are a snare in their path, a stone, a stumbling to their feet. Here, natural is set against spiritual, and as a consequence, the spirituality of many is unnatural, strained, and artificial. Spirituality should not be merely an exterior semblance, but a deep inward instinct. It should become our natural mode of life. And honestly, anybody who has the Spirit of God is natural. No question about it. We do our natural things. We live our life. We're happy in that sense. We're not constrained by, oh, it's a sin. I can't touch it. I can't eat it. I can't see it. I can't do nothing. Otherwise, I'm going to hell. Well, that's the whole deal with Christendom. That's how I grew up. It's funny, because that's how I grew up in my foster home. And it's amazing because they were so religious. My foster mother was so religious that she constrained me. She would not let me do nothing that was, a sin. It's funny. There's no reference whatever to our human nature in these texts. They refer solely to the soul. Suk, meaning soul. And this is objective soulish. And it does not refer merely to the possession of a soul. All men, even the most spiritual, have consciousness and sensation, which is soul. And let me explain soul again to you. Soul is your five senses, simple as that. And when you die, your soul goes back to the unseen, meaning it goes to oblivion. There's no more senses. You do not feel, taste, smell, see, nothing. Hear, nothing. So that is the soul going back to the unseen or oblivion. But they are not necessarily sensual on that account. A soulish man is under the sway of his senses, his appetites. His physical pleasures dominate his life. This is not natural, it is unnatural. We are distinctly told that sensuality is beside nature. Romans chapter 1 verse 26. It is not natural to pander to our appetites beyond that which is instinctive. But the instinct which was placed in us at creation was not then sinful, and does not become such without becoming unnatural. It is a grave mistake to say that the natural or instinctive man does not receive God's Spirit, even if it is in the Bible or the Authorized Version. God has not said it. He has said quite a little which is contrary to it. A trifling loose rendering may seem to some. It has deflected the saints into bewildering byways. It is impossible for them to ignore their nature or instinct entirely. Can't ignore that. We get hungry. We love the smells outside when it's springtime. Different things. It is impossible for them to ignore their nature or instinct entirely. When they are hungry, they wish to eat, even if it is natural. If they are thirsty, they drink. They follow their instinct or nature in avoiding extremes of heat and cold, and in making provision for themselves and their loved ones. It is only because our instinct is subconscious that we do not realize how certainly we are dependent upon it. No amount of spirituality will lead us to go contrary to nature. Okay, I'm going to stop there today. But I'm giving you an idea of human nature. Human nature is human nature. Bottom line. That's where it ends. Human nature does what it does. So we all have a human nature, and we do it. And we have instincts to go by in this life. But when you make it unnatural is when you try to stop people from doing it. By saying, okay, God's going to punish you or put you in eternal torment, and you're going to hell if you do swear, curse, I don't know, drink beer, for God's sakes, drink wine, for God's sakes, I don't know. There's a bunch. In Christendom, there's a whole list of them, I guess, that you need to avoid. Otherwise, God's going to condemn you. Not so with me, folks. I do what I do because I have a human nature. I don't go beyond it. Whatever. It is human nature. Doesn't matter. I say enjoy your life. Enjoy what God has given you. And enjoy it in spirit. because God's Spirit lives within you. And with that, I say grace and peace to you, and we will see you tomorrow, folks. Love you all in the Lord. Have a great day.